Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Come on in, sit on down. It's time for another episode of the Truther Therapy Sessions. That's right. We're episode 108, I think we are. You know, I'm not really keeping count anymore. I have no idea. I'm losing it, but it's good to be here on another Sunday. So I've got a bit of a special show for you guys today. Every now and then, it's just me on my own, winging it for 2 hours, trying to just fill the space with my insane ramblings. But every now and then, I am blessed to have a guest who can come on and fill that space for me instead. And today, I do have just that. Now, this young man reached out to me maybe about 2 weeks ago with an email, kind of talking about his experience being involved in a cult for a good part of 2 years. And I thought it was a really fascinating email. And I checked out his channel and I listened to his testimony about this. And I thought, yeah, this is cool. And he's offered to come on and share his story. And, you know, we like getting into weird and strange things here on the Truth of Therapy Sessions. And I think this may be a good conversation for this podcast because it is a real raw experience about somebody trying to get to the truth and, you know, kind of the journey we all go on in that process. And I think one of the major pitfalls, and maybe I should make a tips for truthers about this, is that, you know, don't end up joining a cult. So I think this could be good. And without further ado, Connor, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am. Paul, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Fantastic. Let me just switch the screen here so these guys can also see you. There we go. So we're sharing now. They can see your face and mine. So Connor, thanks for doing this. Thanks for reaching out.
Thank you.
But I've rambled enough. This is your time to tell your story. So would you like to just tell the people who you are, where they can find you, and just what exactly it is you went through? Let's go.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, thanks, first of all, Paul, for having me on the show.
No problem.
I've got a YouTube channel called The Vital Pilgrim. And that's all about just, you know, the name behind The Vital Pilgrim is a lot of young people or, you know, people around my age, you know, basically not boomers, are still looking for their, you know, their promised land, so to speak. So it's about tips for staying vital and the mental side, the philosophical side of staying vital in this world that is basically trying to get us from all angles. And so, you know, while you're on that journey, on that path, having an upright posture, you know, so to speak, throughout your life and being on that journey. Mm-hmm. But yeah, basically, as you said, Paul, I did get drawn into a cult for the best part of 2 years. And I just found it, you know, might be interesting to share what got me in there in the first place, what I was attracted to, and how I got out. And it's a very mental and spiritual thing, but I think a lot of other people, especially those who are exposed to the New Age movement, which is, you know, in a lot of things now. You go to any music festival or gathering, and, you know, I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but in Australia, my contemporaries are very into the New Age, and so I can see now that this Gnostic cult I went into was basically like the root of all New Age stuff is all sort of stemming from this Gnostic idea that this world is something to be transcended and that God is evil. So basically, I went looking for me, to be honest, what initially got me into it is I was looking for power, and I was looking for truth as well. You know, like these things are sort of blended together, but there was this will to power in me that initially had me fascinated with studying, reading into the occult and hermetics, and you know, actually it was just, I got fascinated initially with Judaism. You know, that there was this group of people that kept secrets and had, you know, a degree of power and coalesced. I wanted some of that in my life. You know, I wanted to be a part of something that was powerful, like a fraternity, and started looking into Freemasonry, all these sorts of things. And that's basically how I started uncovering the occult. And so when I first started coming across the occult, keep in mind I was raised with New Age parents, like they were the epitome of the New Age believers. So a lot of these things were not unfamiliar to me, but I'd never really looked at these ideas or these, spiritual ideas from a lens of like, is this actually true and real? So
Mm.
I started exploring the occult from this perspective of like, is this actually real, or is this just a bunch of people playing fantasy and make believe? Because if it's real, I think I want a piece of it. And so, yeah, I got my hands on some grimoires. I got my hands on some, the various sort of like entry level occult books like the Kybalion and things. I started reading about some Rosicrucian books, and eventually I came back to my hometown and found that there was this poster up for this Gnostic school, and it had this cool like Gnostic art on it, and it just described all of these sort of things that I've been studying and getting fascinated by. So I thought I'd go along. So yeah, I go along to this Gnostic school, and at first it was very refreshing because it felt like I was getting, all of this secret information that I've been looking for.
Mm.
They've been talking about, all kinds of things like karma, Kabbalah, the mental bodies. They laid out this whole sort of theology of what their, cosmology was. And looking back on it, they basically just borrowed uh, chunks from everywhere. And I think they kind of admitted to that as well. Like, the little booklets that they hand out had symbols of every single like religion on them. So
Mm.
it was like this, salad of religious ideas and whatever. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But yeah, they started, talking about the ascended masters, and they gave me this sense that like that there was this sort of fateful occurrence that I'd found them. And so when I started going along, it just activated my, dopamine and sense of belonging and all of those things that I seen how are kind of integral to a cult working. They have to capture your sense of, almost this like superstitious sense that you're in the right place, doing the right
Mm.
thing. And yeah, so I was going along to these classes once a week, and at first it was just like one night of the week where I would go to these classes and listen to them talk for about 2 hours, and we would do like a meditation at the end, and started doing these various practices, like they started involving um, they call it toning, but it's basically like chanting, and like liturgy, which is like prayer to these different Egyptian and Jewish deities. And they spoke about God, but not in the way that a Christian would speak about God. They they started introducing the tree of life long before they started talking about God. And
Mm.
so at first it was very nebulous, like, and I think it was deliberately so that they didn't lay it out for you in a very clear way. You go to one class and they talk about one subject in this way, and the teacher was very good at eventually like captivating our interest in these subjects, but you didn't really know what the whole group stood for at any given time. And if you asked a question that uh, you know maybe you could have highlighted something that would have been unfavorable, the teacher was good at redirecting that question or um, dismissing it. So they were very sort of secretive about what they believe. They didn't start talking about the demiurge or that God is evil or that, some of these things that might repel people from Gnosticism early on. That came later down the line. So it started becoming clear in hindsight that there was this sort of gradual, step by step, of boiling the frog. That by the time like they had to sort of you had to accept the earlier stuff before you got to the later stuff. And they they would even talk about how, if you didn't accept it or believe it, that someone had like fallen off the path. So they
Mm.
made this path seem like it was the path, and that this is like the ultimate spiritual path to ascension, and ascension is what we're going for. So they started introducing sexual alchemy as the primary means of getting ascension or building up your power. So at this time of my life, for the first maybe year, it was just going along and getting into, just having someone talk about uh, something that you'd maybe hear on YouTube, even like these
Mm.
deep dives into these subjects, and it was pretty interesting. But then the second year, beginning of the second year, is when they really started getting us to do these practices more in depth and reach out to these deities, and go a little bit harder on the cosmology and the belief side. So this idea of sexual alchemy was introduced as the means of building up your energy, your sexual energy, to have a kundalini awakening. So they were saying, like, this is what you got to do. You got to go do this sexual alchemy, which is, I don't want to be crass or anything, but it's basically where you have sex without ejaculating.
Mm.
And that in itself can be very stressful, um, especially when they put behind it that they kind of tie in like original sin with ejaculating, and say that, because this world is evil, that you don't want to bring kids into it. And if the ascended masters want you to have a kid, that they'll make that happen somehow through like an
Mm.
immaculate conception. But basically, that every time you ejaculate, you're losing a piece of your soul. Now, you might be wondering why, someone could believe that, but as I said, that they really sort of just boil the frog, slowly, and that, get had me. They sort of spoke directly to me along the way of what I was looking for. So I'd started to place trust in them by this point. They only start introducing these things when you're already putting trust in them.
Mm.
So I'm with my now fiance, trying to do this sexual alchemy, and it's making us drift further apart because she's feeling like this sexual object for my spiritual ascension, and uh, I'm like, I'm starting to look at her like this, uh, like this demonic person or whatever, because of what they're telling me, um, people are like if they don't want to go with this sexual alchemy stuff. So that's one example of how it started to really really get dark.
Mm.
The other things, like the belief that the belief in reincarnation is actually a really interesting one. For it seems kind of nice at first, and like almost to be taken for granted, but the belief in reincarnation actually places very low value on human life, because if you're just going to get another one and you're going to come back in again, then what's the point? You can mess around, you can stuff up, and if someone dies, it doesn't really matter. And so
Mm.
when when um, when we were talking about that, it got into some really weird territory where, um, for example, like I'm a support worker, meaning I work with people with disabilities, and I would talk about. I brought up the subject of people with disabilities, and he said that, people with disabilities have a karmic price to pay in this lifetime, and that they're usually like really bad people, um, on the inside, which is why they have disabilities to pay as a consequence in this lifetime. And if they died, it wouldn't really like matter. They would sort of like absolve their karma and they would keep going. And so, that's like one example of how dark this can go if you really take reincarnation, to its full extent. He would even talk about how there was, groups of Gnostics that would, or they might have been Tibetan monks or something, that would like drown their babies in the river, or they would put their babies into this icy river, and if they drowned, it wouldn't really matter because they weren't cut out for this world. And there was just all of these examples of how human life was kind of just this. We just had another go around. It's just another go. You're just having another crack at it. If you fall off the path or whatever, then you're doomed for this life. But then you'll just die, and you'll have another chance. All right, so that's like one of the dark beliefs that was starting to become an issue for me.
Yeah, just stop you there, just to take a break. But it's what you described is something I've tried to tell people quite a lot. That this belief system that comes under it's a like I said, it's a broad umbrella of what these people actually believe, what Gnostics believe, And I've tried to say over and over again, it doesn't matter how you define it, they'll always tell you that's not real Gnosticism. There'll be some sect out there that'll say that's not what we do, that's not what we believe, because it is just a catch-all amalgam mashup of many belief systems, kind of just, they're just winging it from what I can tell. But the predominant undercurrent, which you've just described to me there to a T, is that it's basically a death cult. Human life has no value, and the less people there are, the more powerful humanity becomes. Therefore, it's a kindness and a good thing to not bring new life into the world, and to also cull and eliminate and reduce population. So it's a death cult, but they always do it under that light guise of there'll be more perpetual balance on Earth. Let's keep humanity under 500 million, and we can live in harmony with nature more so, and be more powerful, and have our energies more condensed as a consciousness into fewer people, therefore be more superhuman and godlike in nature. And it's kind of selling this idea that it's ascension, it's masterfulness of humanity at its peak form, but it can only be done through death, sacrifice. And like I said, this viewing of humanity is just a trivial thing. It's just, they said, like in this example, it's just a new cycle. You'll come back. Don't worry about dying. It's not important. Your life isn't important. You'll just do it again anyway. And then this whole karmic idea as well, like, disabled people have something to pay for or something. It's kind of, no, people are disabled because this world is corrupt and fallen. And yeah, unfortunately the flesh is corrupt and things happen. This world has caused issues, and people unfortunately have problems. Or gross negligence can cause disability as well. Like I have disabled family members, and it's because the doctors severely messed up when they were a baby. And they paid the price for that and everything else. But as a result, one of my family members is now for the rest of his life severely mentally disabled, and will need care his entire life. But again, does he have a karmic debt to pay? I don't think so. I think it's just gross negligence through sin and issues of living in this world. So, but the thing about Gnostics is they kind of take this, the world is fallen and corrupt idea, and they roll with it to say, these are the crazy things you're talking about. So they take Christian concepts and twist them to be a death cult. That's the only way to describe it. Is that true, is what I'm saying there? Have I got it right? Because it sounds like what you were describing is something like this.
Absolutely, Paul. Absolutely. It's a death cult, and fundamentally, they want to escape this world, right? So the whole reason for doing this sexual alchemy, doing all this Kabbalah stuff, doing all of this prayer, the whole reason for doing all of the work is to get out of here. It's to build up your powers so much so that you can do everything, that you could go anywhere, do anything, get to all of these higher planes. And they describe they kind of describe how you'll get all these superpowers when you do this stuff if you do it enough. So that's one motivation, but basically that this world is a messed up, botched creation, in that we're basically trapped here, and that this is the only way out, and that we've been given a mercy by the ascended masters by being shown this path, that we're really lucky to have received this knowledge and this path. in that most people are screwed, and the best thing you could do is do the work and forget about anyone who's
Mm.
not able to do it, because like they're just maybe not cut out for it.
Mm.
And that's that. You can't change someone else's karma, and everyone else is pretty much screwed. So save yourself, become the app man or whatever. They had, like, they have a different word for the same thing because they blended so many different cultures together. Well, not
Mm.
cultures, but religious ideas. Um, so they had like Sanskrit words for things and the Hebrew words for things and all of that, and it seemed to kind of give it this like sense of legitimacy. Like all of these religions are saying the same thing, but it
Mm.
really is a hodgepodge, and they've got kind of an answer for everything because they've opened themselves up to take the answers from what these guys have and take the answers from what the Jews have, and borrow a bit from Christianity, and they want to claim like total legitimacy,
Mm.
but uh, you know it was actually when I started watching the Chosen that this show about the disciples of
Mm.
Jesus, that I just got to see this example of Jesus that was in a very different light to what they were talking about.
Mm.
Because they try to claim Jesus as their own and say that Jesus was sent down by the true God, the unknowable God, to save us from the fake God, the demiurge,
Yeah.
uh, which they describe Yahweh as a demon. And so the Jesus I was seeing represented in that show was very different to the Jesus I was being shown in Gnosticism,
Mm.
and it also came down to a vibe, like a feeling, where I got to like see in the show that it was like there was some like moments in that show that really made me uh, open up in my sort of compassion, and Gnosticism was closing down my compassion. So
Mm.
that's when this sort of schism started to start. Was literally like just watching this show, The Chosen. I think it was well done, at least for me, watching it in that sense. It was part of what helped get me out. Was just seeing this example of what love and compassion would actually look like,
Yeah.
rather than this hateful. No, I wouldn't say it's hateful, but this apathetic view on life.
Mm.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were telling that but there's many ways to ascend out of this world and defeat the evil demiurge and break free of the cycle or whatever story they've got, because again they all attach to a different kind of loose narrative of how we're trapped here in some way. And yeah, they always like to equate, oh, well, Jesus was just another way. He was like another example of trying to get you to realize that there's a bad God and you're all under like a matrix trap, and the only way to get out is to reach his consciousness style, is what they say, isn't it? Like, become Christ-like, reach Christ
Mm.
consciousness, become like Jesus, and then he showed you the way to be and to what to become in order to get out of the system, of the trap, And that's not what he said. That's not what Jesus said at all. And you can only get to that conclusion. And I remember Connor said this from the Cults of Con. Cults of Con, it's in the name, but he's being tongue in cheek there. He's making a joke, but he was making it clear you can only get to that conclusion about Jesus if you don't know enough about the actual source material, and you've been told what Jesus said instead, and just kind of twisted from someone who just lied to you, basically. Because he says, no one gets to heaven but through me and by me. There's no other way. And he did not say by becoming like me. He did not say by reaching a state of consciousness like mine. He didn't say anything like that. He made it clear, you do not get to the Father but through me. And that's it. That's it. He is the only way, the truth, and the life. There are no other ways. Okay, but all these other religions are claiming, well, you got to do the work, you got to do these special things, do the right rituals, reach the right level of consciousness, or you've got to do, and everyone is doomed. And the good news is that Jesus said everybody's saved through him. Like, there's no one left behind, essentially. This is the point. Like, all sin is forgiven, the law is broken. Under the law, the law exists. He's fulfilled the law, but you're no longer under the law. There's a new covenant through him, and if you just believe in him that he rose from the dead, you'll be saved. It's very simple. Like, there's nothing else to it. But these other people in these other cults, they want to like kind of hijack Jesus and tell you what he meant. Oh, he meant this.
Exactly.
He didn't mean what he said. What he was trying to do through metaphor was imply that you need to reach a state of consciousness like him by aligning your chakras correctly and letting the serpent kundalini energy unlock your third eye through the Christus, the oil in your spine, which is what Christ is named after, or something like this. You know, it's like, well, that's not what he said. Those are not the words of Jesus. Like, and Jesus, the religion of Christianity is completely different from all these other religions in that respect. There is no religion like the way of Christ. And he didn't come to sell religion. He simply came to defeat death and show you the way to heaven, to the Father. And it's just through him. That's it. It's a kingdom. You know, you have to put yourself under the king. You know, the servant is not greater than the master. It's simple. And you're not going to become like the master. You're not going to become Christ. You cannot get there through your own works. There's nothing you can do. There's no ritual or anything, no drug you can take or some sex ritual magic you can perform or anything like that. You're not going to get there but through him. But the good news is the offer's open to everybody. But these other religions, like you're saying, which kind of get mashed together, they are all the same. There's many ways to defeat and break out of the trap. That's how they describe it. Most of the religions describe the world. Christianity is saying God loves you. He created this world for you. It is corrupt now through your own sin, but he can forgive you through his son, Jesus Christ, and his sacrifice. That's not like any other religion. No other religion promises any such a thing whatsoever, which is what makes Christianity completely different, which is why the Gnostics are very pernicious with that one. That's why they twist it so much. They don't have to do much twisting with any of the other religions. They can take them all at face value and just make this one mega religion out of it. But then when they attach Christianity into it, that's the lie. That's the real dark stuff about this whole Gnosticism idea, as though it's just like the rest. But you can only believe that if you haven't read the Bible. Do you know what I mean? You can only consider that to be the case if you haven't actually done a comparative analysis. And there's a reason why the early apostles died for this belief and didn't renounce it and went to that extreme, you know, and were fed to lions and still did not deny it because it's the truth. And it's kind of, I can't lie. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. I ranted there. I'm sorry. I didn't want to take you off your path, but I got things firing off my brain as you're speaking. So back to the story then. Back to the story. You know, I'll let you take off. I'll go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that, because actually it was right when I broke out mentally, at least, of this school, this cult. There was I'd listened to a few of your videos before, and I'd found you interesting, and the whole, you know, Nephilim clown things. I just found it, you know, really interesting. And I was on the way to this New Age type festival with my now fiance, and I put your video on talking about psychedelics, and that you know, it was just coming at the right time where it was. You know, it's something you said, like, you are not God. You will not be like God. You know, we're giving something, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but like we're given the grace of, you know, forgiveness, but you know, for our sins, but we are not going to become like God. That just stuck with me because I felt it to be true. And I realized that in that moment, or it started having me think that all of this stuff that I'm doing, like I'm literally trying to be like God. I'm on this. They've got me on this path to like become some ascended master, and that's probably all, you know, a lie. It just sort of cut through the oil there, and so that was one of the breakaway things for me. You know, just a few words delivered at the right time when someone is ready will help break someone out of, you know, some kind of cultish stupor. So, you know, there's something to be said for just speaking the truth and having a simple message that is true, and just sticking around with truth, because it has this not contagious, but this like cut through everything ability where you know in your gut when something is really true. And so there was that. There was also like just my fiance just being like, look, dude, like this is really driving us apart and not healthy. So I had my relationship, at odds, and suffering because of that. I got to see, examples of Jesus in that show that were not meshing up with the examples of that they were giving. And you're right, like they did try to basically twist everything he said into their own advantage that like led into their school. And every like Gnostic school is, I wrote down here, it's like a rent a religion. It's
Mm.
like if you want to start a cult, like there's so much, like Gnosticism just has enough of a framework that you can borrow and just change whatever you want for whatever your goal is. So this particular Gnostic school was started by this guy who calls himself Samael Aun Weor, who we were told is this like ascended master or whatever. And I didn't really look too much into this guy until this schism started to occur, where I'm like, what is this stuff? And for one, Samael is Onweo isn't even his real name. Um, it's like Roberto or something, but Rodrigo, he's some dude from Colombia who named himself after this. I now found out after this demon, Samael, who's known as the who's known as the what is it, the venom of God. It's like this
Mm.
Hebraic demon, and like one of the last classes that I went to, they actually it was the only time they'd like played a video of this guy talking. He died somewhere in like this, sometime around the 60s or 70s. And even though he wasn't talking in English, he was talking in Spanish. There was such this like a disgusting vitriol in his like the sound of his voice that it actually made me like kind of cringe. I'm like, is this the guy that I've been like listening to the teachings of for the last 2 years nearly? Like it was I wasn't even hearing the words he was saying because it was in another language. It was in Spanish,
Mm.
and it was just the sound that was coming out of him made me cringe. I looked him up again sort of later, and it was he actually had the mannerisms of a man possessed, like
Mm.
really really kind of disturbing. And I think if I had have seen something like that earlier on, I wouldn't have like if you sort of tasted the fruit, I wouldn't have eaten it. And so there was, by your fruits you are known. That maxim was basically what I started holding up to this school. I'm like, what ascended masters has this school actually produced? None. How did this guy? And so we were told that this guy became an ascended master when he died, and he was, the logos of of Mars or whatever, and he was this and he was that. And that when he died, he had some like immaculate death where he and some light death that was just like Jesus, where he turned into light and left behind nothing but his skin and nails. All of this stuff. And I looked up, and he died of stomach cancer alone in somewhere in Colombia. And it was a very normal, like painful sounding death. But it was just one of those lies we were told about this
Mm.
guy. And the hypocrisy started to show through. Like he's saying, don't have kids. He had like 3 kids, and so like my fiance and I were um, like I didn't actually sort of piece together that the implication was that I actually couldn't have kids through this thing. I was just thinking like, oh, you do the sexual alchemy and you'll have kids, like if it's meant to be. And I just felt like it will be like, sure, I'll have kids. My divine self will want when I have kids, so that'll be fine. And he was like, no, like this school basically teaches like you can't have kids, and that it's very rare and unlikely. So when I find out that this guy who's set up this school has got 3 kids, I'm like, okay, all right, something's not right here. And I started looking through all of the lies and hypocrisy, and just the fruit of what this place is producing, what this belief is producing, and it was making me sick. It was making me a judgmental person. I was just becoming very judgmental, I was looking at the world as just this place of like filth to transcend. And I lost the value in all of these things that I once derived value and meaning from. So yeah, that was what really started to break me out of it. And so I also at a similar time got a book, some occult letters on occult meditation by Alice Bailey.
Hmm.
And I was reading that and noticing the similarity between what the cosmology in that was like. You've got your higher self and your lower self, and they call it the monad, where you want to basically align your lower self, which is you, with your higher self, which is like their version of God. So they say that you've got a higher divine self, which is God, and that's how you become like God, through alignment with that. So I was reading this book and I'm like, wow, that's very much the same. And then I was hearing some other theosophists talking, and I'm like, well, these guys seem to have the same kind of like core ideas, and it's Luciferian by nature, by default. And
Hmm.
even at the time in Gnosticism, we were told that Lucifer and Satan are not the same, and that Lucifer is actually the equivalent of Christ, like Christ's brother, so to speak, in the tree of life. He's like the equal of Christ, and your Lucifer will lead you to finding your true self. And so um, that's when it sort of clicked to me that like all of these schools, all of these beliefs, all of this Gnosticism, even like Freemasonry, Judaism, to some degree, right? Because Judaism is its own, it's a bit, it's got its own sort of branches in it. It doesn't seem like it's got the same sort of like denominations as Christianity, but um, anyway, that could be a whole thing in and of itself, and I'm still trying
Hmm.
to figure that out. But yeah, this idea that Lucifer is here to free you is at the core of a lot of this Gnostic New Age beliefs. And then when I went
Hmm.
to this New Age festival, it's called Prana Fest. Uh, just after listening to your video on that subject, I got to see all of this, all of these, it was like all of this yoga and stuff. And I just got to see how shallow it all was. Everyone seemed to have like their own spiritual personality, persona, ego, and like all of their different um it was they were kind of like trying to signal. It was like a signal, virtue signal, status game. And because
Yeah.
I'd been studying this Gnostic school, which was like a condensed version of all these ideas, I got to see that like even if you were going into those ideas, that like they were like a shallower version of all the things I've been learning. So I'm like, I wasn't buying into, what all of these different facilitators and stuff were doing. I was starting to see through the whole thing as like this, a load of crap, really. Like it just kind of, sort of like pretty pathetic. Like what, what are you guys actually doing or producing that's transformative? And I got to see, the problems in all of these people's lives that they weren't addressing. And I got to really see and feel that like we needed something that was truly going to save us, and it's not going to be these practices. It's like none of that stuff is going to save us. So I'm like I'm really starting at this point to feel like I need to connect with Jesus Christ. Like that's what is that's the only thing that feels like it might save me and truly transform me. So I came home and within those sort of few days I started looking into Samael and I had all these Gnostic books and whatever, and I just burnt them all. I literally just lit a fire and burnt all of these books, and for the first time repented. I truly just prayed and repented, because part of me had always actually felt this connection with God, that all this other stuff sort of just got in the way. And so it wasn't like I'd never prayed before, but it was like I'd allow myself to be distracted by all of these other things and all this shiny object stuff. When really in my heart, since the time I was as young as I can remember, I knew that I was created by a loving God, and that didn't come from my parents because they weren't Christian. So I remembered that I was genuinely I knew I was created by this loving God. I prayed and I repented, and I felt a shift in me that was nothing like I'd ever felt when doing any of this other prayer or liturgy or trying to communicate with these deities, which I now realize are just probably Nephilim. And so I'm like, all of these other things require some kind of blood sacrifice or some kind of sacrifice. And here I am repenting and feeling love without having to sacrifice anything other than just my own pride.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, it's an amazing experience when you actually do humble yourself and actually ask for help from God and said have that humbling moment of none of this is working. Clearly, I've been chasing shadows like for so long, and my life is objectively getting worse, thinking I'm getting wiser and smarter along the way. And that's exactly how I was kind of going through it as well. I wouldn't say I was extreme as you when I kind of came out of the occult, shall we say. I was more into the psychedelic community type stuff, and I was exploring Eastern philosophies primarily. But I wouldn't say I dabbled much in the Gnostic stuff. I don't think I ever once thought God was evil. I kind of always had a knowing that there is a God and there is a creator, and I flirted with the idea that maybe we are all God collectively, that kind of thing. That's another take that you don't hear so often, but it is obviously just another tangent of the similar vein of thought. Like you kind of went down there. Someone did just say in the comments here that this Samuel, whatever his name was, people don't really understand his work. He was pro-Jesus and warned against demons. And it's kind of, yeah, well, most Gnostics are pro-Jesus because they think he was here to warn us against the evil demiurge, and free us from the trap. I don't think this is a misunderstanding of this man's writing in any way, what you just said. But again, I think people can only think that he was pro-Jesus because they do usually sing Jesus's praises, and this is where the mix-up always comes in. Or even other religions, like Buddhism, he was a incarnation of the Buddha, or something like that. Or Hindus would say he was an avatar of Shiva, or Jesus, or the Muslims would say, Jesus was a great prophet. They all sing his praises. None of them deny him, but they always have a reason. But then Jesus says, I am the only way, the truth, and the life. There is no other way. But yet all these other religions do not say he isn't what he is. So they all accept him too, but they want to just try and twist it some other direction until you actually listen to the man himself. And then you realize all these other ones are just talking nonsense. Like, he did not say any of these things. So again, I don't think this Samuel guy, whatever, or Roberto, whatever his real name was, I don't think he truly was selling Jesus. He was selling this Gnostic New Age Jesus is the only way to describe it.
Right.
Yeah, and you talk there about the Theosophical Society, and it sounds a lot like Theosophy, what you were talking about, and even the logo for Theosophy is everything's kind of slapped together. Like that's what the logo actually is. It's like a snake eating its own tail with the two triangles, a six-pointed star in the middle, and then you've got the swastika on top within a Hindu symbol. It's like all the religions mixed together into one coexist, beautiful, peaceful thing. And even the work of Alice Bailey, who was a student of Helena Blavatsky, they produced a newspaper called Lucifer, which was about the light bringer. Someone in the comments there was mentioning that Mormons, the Latter-day Saints, who I think they've rebranded to the Church of Jesus Christ or something like this, they believe Lucifer was Jesus's brother. That's how they try and sell it. And you were talking about Theosophy there, and obviously Albert Pike as well, and Freemasonry. Albert Pike talked about Lucifer, and he says, Lightbringer, funny name to give to the name of the devil, but don't get confused. Yes, Adonai is God, but so is Lucifer. And they believe they were equals. Like that's how they try and describe it in like Morals and Dogma. Like no, like God is God, yes, and Jesus, but so is Lucifer. Lucifer is also God, and it's two aspects of the same thing. And you kind of described it there when they were selling to you. It's kind of like, you've got like this energy above, and then you've got this ground energy below, and you got to bring the two together and that's again theosophy, to master it. And that's the same thing that Freemason was teaching. You got to master the teachings of the Lightbringer of Lucifer and ground it with the earthly creator God who made the flesh body. And it's kind of got to put these, it's just a lot of nonsense with a G in the front of it. It's literally just Gnostic nonsense, just overcomplicating the simple concept that you have a God who created you, and through sin you have separated yourself from him, and through his son, you can get back to him. And that's it. It's a simple step-by-step process. But I feel like these other religions, from what I gather, and from what I think maybe brings people in like yourself, and what kind of sells it at first, is this idea that it has to be complicated, right? The answer can't be simple. And then it's kind of like, oh, I understand all the secret stuff. I know all these arcane wisdoms and knowledges that make me special and above other people. Then it starts appealing to ego and power. And people don't want a simple answer that requires them to give it to somebody else. I think what I gather is people want to say, I did it myself. I ascended above the throne of God. I put myself in that position of God. It's literally Lucifer. It's the battle cry of Lucifer, I will do it my own way without help from God. And so all these religions are truly Luciferian, like by the very definition. And you can call it whatever you want. I don't care what you're going to call it, what makes yours so different or special. It's all the same. And what made me laugh the most about your tale is that when you actually heard this man speak, it's like, is this the guy? Is this really the guy we're all been listening to? And I think there's something in the Bible about that, when Satan reveals himself, it's kind of like everyone like, this is the man that laid waste to all the nations. This is the guy that did it. Like everyone's like, really, this guy? This was the one. And I feel like that spirit, that Antichrist spirit, when it manifests, you realize the people who have it are pathetic. Same for Aleister Crowley. He created Thelema, his own offshoot of kind of theosophy, but more going into sex magic and depravity and the dark side, shall we say, of the force to reach those levels of transcendence that you're talking about. And when you actually hear him speak, there's like a recording of him like reciting a really crap poem he made called Ode to Pan. And he's got this really high-pitched, squeaky, pathetic, weird goblin voice. I can't explain it, you know what I mean? And you're listening to it, he's like, this is the guy who started this huge cult that's like big today and still going today, and this massive movement. It's like, wow, like you have to imagine these people must never have actually heard this man speak, because if they had, they probably wouldn't be following him so vehemently, And I think what your story is so similar. It just made me laugh. There's a few thoughts I had. I'll give the ball back to you. Sorry. There we go.
No, that's exactly right. Like, there is something to be said for the impression you get of someone. And like a lot of these guys have, I came to realize in the end that the occult is just for losers. It's true power comes from prayers granted by the grace of God. Like that's true power. Anything else, it's fleeting. And people that do make the deals with Lucifer and do his dirty work, they're all like Icarus. They sort of burn bright, they get close to the sun, and then they melt and die and burn, and it's horrible. There's not many people that really get deep enough into the occult that don't have a horrible ending. And so that's the other thing as well. The occult, it's for losers who are looking for power. And I could say that about myself when I first got into it. Like that was what allowed me to be persuaded or manipulated, as I wanted to believe that there was some way that I could become more powerful than everyone else. And I'm not too proud to admit that now. That was part of the genuine realization for me. It was what actually got me into it. Was the drive for power. And now for me, it's really all about, like, my prayers center around being shown my path, being shown who I am, like I look to the Creator for guidance, not for my own ego, because I realize that whatever I come up with is far more fallible than the creation of God Himself. I look at the perfection of even though it's corrupted in some ways, there is a perfection and a beauty of this world that, it would be pitiful to even compare what the power of anything else is from the actual creator of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not go straight to the source of creation when looking for guidance, when looking for.
Oh, so we lost connection there. Let's see if we can't get it back quickly, guys. Technical difficulties. This is what happens when we do things live. Let's have a look here.
Here we go.
We're back. There we go. We're good to go. We can hear you. It's all good.
Yeah, so going straight to God, I realized is the only way to truly have power. But then again, like what part of me even wanted power? Power to do what? Who am I to want to have power over anyone else? Like the only thing that's really meaningful is what I've been put here to do, and that's something I'm still it's an ongoing process to be uncovered. I don't think it all comes, or at least it hasn't all come like one vision to me in like one dream, but there's the next step along the path that's revealed when I'm now that I'm in prayer with God. I pray nearly every day. I'm not perfect, but I pray nearly every day, and I repent when I need to. It just keeps me healthy. It keeps me with the next step available. I've got the power to do what I need to do in my daily life, and I've got some direction now. And it's not more than I can handle. And I think there's something to be said for we can only sort of really see as far ahead as we need to, because the mind can be very fallible, and I don't know that we can really handle all that much knowledge. True knowledge. I think a lot of what we need to do is very practical, and I think it's a very practical matter, walking with God and doing that, and not getting caught up in the mind. The mind is, when you start listening too much to your own thoughts, it is probably the most fallible way that we can be controlled by demons or entities or spirits. Is through media that we consume, through things that we let into our body. Through food and things, and even letting in parasites. I think there's something to be said for, like, we are clean by default, and it's only when we choose to let in something through our own sin or corruption that we can fall, and that we need to then do the work to repent and be healed. But yeah, well, I think by default demons don't have power over us unless we give it to them and let them in, and unless we're seduced by it. And they have very seductive ideas to people who have a disposition for wanting power. If you want for something, then it's a vulnerability there. It's a vulnerability to be seduced by something that will claim that it offers you that. And so, a lot of this new age stuff, it seems like it's the default religion now, but not in like a very organized way. But I also came from the psychedelic community as well, and that the psychedelic community is basically not the community itself, but I came from there into this sort of seeking for power and Gnosticism and everything.
Yeah.
And in the psychedelic community, all of these ideas are just these new age ideas that are going around, and the people who haven't found Christ just haven't gone deep enough into any of those ideas to realize that they're not all the way. And I think that by having gone in all the way to fully immersing myself in this Gnostic school, it led me back to God, because I got to, instead of just going my whole life with some half-baked ideas on how the world works and what being spiritual or a good person is or whatever, and going half-baked, I went full-baked and realized it was wrong, and now I've come all the way, to truth and to God, and to feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is I think it is a process. Perhaps God in his infinite wisdom has left it there as a necessary part of the process. And I'm not saying there are other ways to get to God or to Jesus other than Jesus. I'm not saying that. But in a world that is so corrupt and full of lies, I think God can use anything for good. And for me, when I started having spiritual experiences, and then obviously went down the psychedelic route and was learning that there is a spiritual dimension, there really is. This is a creation and has a creator. There's a design. There's a process at play here, which I'd never noticed before until doing these things. And it's kind of, okay, so there is a creator. But I defaulted, as you said, to the New Age stuff because it's not in me, or I had no context to think that Christianity had anything to offer at that point in my life. I didn't know anything about it, and it just seemed so detached from the beauty and awe-inspiring psychedelic nature of reality. And what's this boring, dusty book got to tell me from the deserts 2,000 years ago? You know what I mean? It's like you just don't have this link in your mind for it to have any relevance to your experiences at the moment. But the psychedelic community are talking about sacred geometry and frequency and the electromagnetic universe and all this type of stuff, and all that kind of stuff relates heavily to, like, especially like someone coming into that psychedelic community type idea. It's like, this must be where the answers are, the mysteries, like of the creation. But you realize, again, if it's not a death cult you're joining, then it's a creation worship cult you're joining, where you're worshipping the creation over the creator itself and obsessing over the intricacies of the creation, the duality of all things, you know what I mean? The dimensional fractalism of everything. And it's kind of, you get locked into communicating with entities on the other side who are teaching me profound wisdoms that may possibly just be a shadow of my own collective consciousness. I have some work to do so you get like lost in the creation, anything but the creator, isn't it? But I think perhaps eventually it always leads to destruction when you're in there for long enough. Like you end up being beaten down to the point where you realize you know nothing. This is all just nonsense. Like there's no progress following these patterns or these belief systems or philosophies, only destruction. Your life gets objectively worse as time goes on. You make no efforts to make your life better in these realms. Usually, if you become some kind of online guru con man, maybe you can make a lot of money, but that's it. But you're not going to be spiritually fulfilled. You're not going to fill that God-shaped hole that every one of us is carrying around with us. But it's like a false light. It's enough to keep you going for a little bit, but it runs out. Like it loses its shimmer, doesn't it? Eventually, and you realize this is nothing. Like there's no tangible improvement in your life following those things, as you've learned, as I've learned. Then eventually, broken, you say, okay, well, I've heard something about Christianity. What's going on here? And you find an entry point. Well, God gets you there, at least, it seems, in some way. And then eventually, because you've exhausted the other religions first, you go into Christianity stronger. Because it's kind of like you already know there's no answers there. What's this got to offer me? And I think in a way, maybe it is a necessary default to get you to Christ eventually, if that's where you are in life and that's what you require and that's what God's going to use to get you there, But I've said this before, and somebody tried to misconstrue it as saying, you're saying there's another way to God, but through Christ. Like you have to go through the New Age first or something. I'm not saying that. The only way to God is through Jesus. But before you get to that conclusion, not everybody's there. And God will use the world he created, whatever it is necessary, to get you there. And if he has to break you with the world religion first to make you realize you need to come to him, then he's going to do that. That's what he's going to do if he's called you to be with him. And that's just something I've observed. I don't want anyone to twist my words and think I'm saying there's another way. I'm not. But for some people, some things aren't just necessary. It's just the way it's going to go. They're going to end up there first. And I think maybe younger generations can empathize more with what we're saying here because we're under the thumb of the propaganda of the New Age more so than older generations. Like, I think it's got science to back it up now. Quantum physics and the rest of it, and like I said, the electromagnetism and the frequency sciences, the things we're learning today about consciousness are proving these mystery wisdoms true and the New Age true in many ways with science. But yeah, the creation is the creation and there is a math and a science to it. Yeah. But that doesn't mean there isn't a creator. That doesn't mean there isn't a God that made it all. And it's anything but God, isn't it? Like, let's call it the God particle instead, or something like that. Or I don't know. A new default is
source.
A source, yeah. Or well, it's consciousness. We're all kind of God, you know. They throw that in like in some way, you know, but they just don't want to admit that all the evidence proves there's a God. But some people just aren't quite ready to take that step yet, and I think God will break them he'll give them over to the delusions for long enough for them to realize they're in trouble and they need help. I feel like that's what God does, and at least in my story, that's kind of what he did to me. Sounds like it's what he did to you. Am I just talking nonsense here? Oh, I don't know. I'll let you go.
No. Absolutely. That's really how it works. You need to be. I mean, like for someone who was raised in this world with New Age parents, like what hope did I have of finding God other than necessity? You know, and God, you know, doesn't rule with an iron fist. You know, granted, he, you know, can come and make decisive action and do anything, but it's a genuine test of our own, I think, soul to come and find him with, you know, in our own way from what we face. Like I had no chance of finding God if unless I unless I went through what I went through, to be honest, because otherwise it's all just you know, it doesn't have the same meaning unless you're at the place where you can really feel the difference. Like, you know, what's more important, like I'm sure saying, you know, what's more important between like going through the motions of something and truly feeling it and knowing it. You know, there might, like, I could have been raised Christian and or Catholic and gone to mass and done all those things and not have felt close to God once. But the way that I've come to it, I feel, I just know, like I know I've almost taken like a scientific approach to finding God and spiritual, like a true spirituality and God in my own life, because I've been looking at the fruits of what is produced along the way. I've been able to feel in myself when I've, you know, prayed to these other deities, whatever, you know, what does or doesn't happen. I feel the living God when I pray to the living God, and nothing else feels alive in that way. You know, maybe, you know, other things are just made up, but you know, it does really feel like we're contending with other spirits. You know, in this realm, like I have seen and witnessed demons. I know demons are real, and it's funny. A lot of people are more willing to accept demons than they are God. Like we just live in a world where people kind of like, you know, you know, will accept demons or even just ghosts or something before they'll accept that we are created by a benevolent and loving creator. And it's very strange. It's almost like a dirty word to a lot of people. It's a disturbing word, and that's probably because a lot of people are holding on to parts of themselves which they would have to let go, and their own delusions and their own lies that would have to be washed away, or would be washed away if they were to truly embrace the love of God. And you know, in the same way that when you have like a candida, you know, a lot of candida in your gut or some parasites, you get cravings for certain kinds of food and flavors, and you might not even want to eat healthy foods or like a fermented kimchi or something. You know, you might be disgusted by the idea of healthy food if you've been eating gross food your whole life. I think it's very much the same with God. And when you've been consuming these, you know, Luciferian beliefs, even mostly unwittingly, you know, something that is truly transformative is scary, and people are repelled from it.
Well, I noticed when I was kind of in my kind of new age phase. Again, I wouldn't say I was never like a Kundalini aligning, crystal chakra aligner type guy. I was never that like that, you know. But when I was in that realm of like exploring mysticisms, shall we say, and doing that research and seeking out God, nobody in my peer group at the time at university judged me for that. It was okay. Like I was talking about religion or philosophical, religious, spiritual ideas in that way. No one like thought it was strange or didn't want to be friends with me because of it, or had any aversion to me discussing those type of ideas about consciousness, and psychedelic perspectives. But since being a professing Christian, none of them talk to me anymore. It's completely a different world, I think they've seen the way I went. It was like, I'm not going to keep in touch with that guy. He's crazy, But I wasn't crazy when they were there with me doing all these drugs and psychedelics and talking absolute nonsense for hours on end about the nature of reality and universe and consciousness. You know what I mean? They were okay with that. Oh, that's just Paul. He's like that, But as soon as I'm a Christian and I get sober and drop all that kind of thing, it's kind of like no one wants to know. No one, whatever, but gone. That was the taboo. That was the thing we're not allowed to say or talk about. And I think that's what the truth usually is. Is it not? I just thought that was fascinating. These kind of parallels and riffs on what you're saying there. Funnily enough, I'm looking at the chat now, and I think a few members of cults have randomly joined and are just spewing random nonsense every 3 comments right now. It's 3 people. One of them even has the logo of Freemasonry, a square and compass right there. And they're all just talking esoteric, weird, spamming nonsense as though it's a real conversation. And I can't help but feel like, who speaks like this? Either they are robotic brainwashed members of actual cults or they're just bots. I can't tell. But people in the chat know what I'm talking about. They're there with them, having to deal with it from the looks of it. But you put the word cults in a title and it literally, the cult bots turn up from I'm learning something here. This is a learning experience as a YouTuber for me. It's just funny. But anyway, thanks for sharing that. That was fantastic. That was a great talk. And obviously you have your own YouTube channel now, don't you? Kind of talking about these ideas a bit more. I think I saw you had a video there of 18 months in a cult and your experiences kind of laid out a bit more. Is there anything else you have planned for the future of your channel? What's your plan now? Now you're born again on the side of the truth and you got this channel. Do you have any plans? Share them.
Yeah, well, the channel is basically, I want to document my journey from my life's journey now, because we're in a house in the suburbs. We've bought a bus, my fiance and I, and we're going to go completely off grid on moving onto our parents' property and create an off grid life that basically is the basis of freedom. So freedom and vitality are the tenets which I'm called to walk by. And so my channel is going to be documenting what it's like building an off-grid home, but also just having talks of keeping it real with how to get by in this world. Similar to your tips for truthers like therapy sessions. I really think that we just kind of need to stick together and keep each other on a straight path and coach each other along. There's a lot of things that can lead us astray in this world. So just keeping our eyes focused on what's real, whole, and good, and sharing that along the way. So I thought at times of making my channel about all of these sort of specific health things and niching down and on certain subjects, but I really just want to keep the channel about walking the path, and that will involve things around health and vitality, maybe like some herbal protocol to do certain things, maybe a bit of workout stuff here and there, but ultimately it's about what will keep you vital on your path. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, so practical stuff, boots on the ground, how to live a practical, healthy life and keep it simple. And I think that's probably what we need more of in the truther culture as well. Simplicity, because I found like the Gnostic stuff really took over in full swing of like the truther community in maybe like the 2019 period. It really started the Christian truthers kind of died and just disappeared and weren't really making content anymore. It was a real odd time. It was the time of the COV thing, and I think it was the takeover I found was more Gnostic trutherisms, Gnostic groups seeping in with their cults and kind of indoctrinating a lot of people. So now it's good to see more people finally coming to Christ and getting in the game on YouTube. So I've got your links, your channel in the description of this video. So if anyone wants to go and click on that link down below and go and join Connor's channel, go and do it. Do it now. You know, you've got my endorsement. Give it a go. Again, I would say your story is unique in the sense that I think a lot of people have experienced what you're experiencing, or at least went through, you know, and I think you can reach a lot of people with your testimony as a result and get them to where they need to get to, which is to Christ. I think you have a powerful testimony, and I look forward to seeing how you'll use it. I really do.
Thank you, Paul.
No problem.
I really appreciate you having me on this channel.
No problem at all, Connor. That's fine. So we're gonna end this conversation here, and I'm gonna close out the show for the last half hour before I have to get going. I'll play a quick commercial. But Connor, thanks for doing this, and God bless. We'll speak to you soon. Stay in touch, okay?
God bless. Thank you.
Bye now. Let's just quickly switch this back to you guys. Yeah, so there we go. That was a fantastic talk from Connor. I really appreciate him coming on to do that. If you have a story you want to tell or a testimony, get in touch with me. You can email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and you can share your story, and we can do this together, you know, and you can just come on and have a conversation as usual. That's great. So I'm going to play a quick break. I think it's quite fitting. Perhaps I should play for you guys my own song, New Age Hippie, just for 2 minutes. And then when we get back, we'll do a bit of a Q&A and a conversation to close this out, guys. So I'll be back in 2 minutes. Just a quick break. At first, I just thought people couldn't financially justify hiring a clown anymore, you know? Then I started blaming the media for portraying my people as bloodthirsty murderers, cult members, or man-eating space aliens. Of course, the 2016 clown sightings didn't help. Ronald was the first to go. They just took him away. And we stayed silent. Because that's when the book appeared. What new form of clown bigotry was this, I thought? Hadn't my people suffered enough? My clown act was failing because people just weren't taking it seriously. And once they fired me from the circus, I tried suing them for funfair dismissal. My unicycle rusted, and my balls gathered dust. I used to make kids scream with laughter, you know. So much that I could see the tears of joy running down their faces. And then it just stopped. I was so upset that I started eating the banana cream pies instead of throwing them in people's faces. I gained so much weight that summer. I avoided it for a while, but the book's front cover was just so eye-catching, and it was so readily available on Amazon, that I gave in and finally read the thing. I didn't even know what the Nephilim were. Luckily, the author spent the first half of the book concisely explaining the biblical history to me in an easy-to-understand manner, so that wasn't really a problem for long. That's when I read the rest of the book and realized that being a clown is no joke. And we are back. How are we all doing, guys? So let me just quickly adjust this webcam thing. I've got it all over the place right now because I just had to. Right, the thing is about Zoom, the app Zoom. Whenever you connect Zoom and OBS, the streaming service that I'm using right here, is connected, it shifts the camera and kind of moves it all over the place and it messes with the programming on the other app. So I've got to kind of readjust after the show. But that's a bit better. I'm framed a bit better now. There we go. So yeah, we're good, guys. You've got me for about maybe 20 minutes or so to do a bit of a Q&A here. Just to kind of close out this therapy session, because I actually am on another podcast, another YouTube channel in 25 minutes. And this other one's from Australia, who's going to be, I think it's about 9 a.m. in the morning for him, and it's almost 11 p.m. for me. So yeah, I've got to time it right and get over there so we can get on it. And so I'm just going to be busy, so I can't stay for too long. But you've got me for a little bit, so let's do this. You know. Oh man, OBS, what a pain. Yeah, it is, but it's also very powerful if used correctly. And so far, I've got the hang of it, and I've got everything kind of sorted and sussed as best I can get it. So I'm going to keep it going. Paul, I really hate clowns since I was a child. I knew they were of the devil. These pics are too much, Lindsay says. Says Lindsay on Stephen Harvey's account. Well, I'm glad my work has helped you in some way, if that's what you're trying to say. Yeah. But yeah, clowns are no joke, that's for sure. What other channel? I actually can't remember his name. I'm sorry. He messaged me on Instagram, and I've completely blanked and forgotten now. I've got it here on my calendar. Let me just check. I've been so fully booked up that I'm kind of losing track, to be honest. I didn't put it in the calendar. Typical. But here he is. Right, he's messaged me saying he's not feeling well, so it's been cancelled anyway. So you've got me for a bit longer, guys. There we go. We can keep going. No problem whatsoever. But his channel is... I'm having a look here. The channel is Nuggets News. It has 142k subscribers. So yeah, it's a big channel, and it's Australian based, and yeah, so it'd be good to have a conversation with him. I think he wants to talk about all things, not just the clowns, just general conspiracy politics and things like that. So it'd be a good conversation where we can actually make that happen. But it looks like I've just checked the messages, and he has actually cancelled. He's not feeling too good. No problem. I'll message you after my live show, and we can get it on the calendar for November. There we go. Right, so I've messaged him back. So you've got me for a bit longer. I can stretch this show out. There we go. I can keep going, and maybe we can go for the full 2 hours instead, eh? Because I know we haven't been going for that long. Well, we're an hour 20 minutes. Yeah, so we'll go for 40 minutes instead. There was some good news for you all. So what's going on anyway, guys? What's on your mind? I've been kind of, like I said, back to back all week. I've been doing these big podcast visits. I was on the Delling pod. I spoke with John Pounders the other day. I was on with the Seat for Jesus as well. And I've kind of been banking all of these interviews and uploading them to my channel ready to release over the next 2 weeks. It would have been 7, but it looks like I've only got 6 videos now because I can't bank tonight's podcast. But I got these 6 interviews already recorded, which I will be releasing over the next 2 weeks because I actually am away. I'm away for 2 weeks. I'm going on holiday. I'm having a break. And I don't want to think about the channel or anything. I'm just going to schedule the videos to release every 3 days. That's just going to be the content you're getting. I might have to record something extra for you guys tonight, maybe just to release on Wednesday or something like that. But yeah, that's going on. So one of those, like I said, will be a talk with John Pounders, but you can actually go and listen to that already. He did release that today and premiere on his new channel, Pounders Quest. And we had a long conversation about the clowns at first, then the last 20 minutes or so was kind of about the Little Season community and his experiences with it, and me talking about my experiences with it as well. And it was a bit of an honest conversation about the whole situation there and why I left. And we talked about, when him and David Carrico and Now You See TV kind of talked about the topic and the backlash they got. And it was a good conversation. It was a really down-to-earth conversation. I really enjoyed it. So if you guys are interested, you can go and check that out and have a listen. So he has just released that on his channel, but I will be releasing it on my channel maybe in a week or two's time at the back end of the holiday. So there we go. The wife just said, woo. I'm guessing, is she happy that I won't be staying up all night? Because I would have been going to like 1 a.m. if I did that other podcast. Yeah, she must be happy about that. Paul, I found your Everything is Poison very, very interesting. Well, it wasn't mine. All credit to Thomas from Switzerland, who came on and did the presentation himself. I just shared it. I just gave him a platform. And that's tends to be what I use my platform for, to give other people who don't have it a platform to say what needs to be said. And yeah, Thomas's presentation was fantastic, wasn't it? So that's available on my channel as well. Go check that out if you haven't already, guys. Is everything poison? That's the question. And I think you'll be surprised that the answer is pretty much. Shock. The ice cream trucks really felt a lot like the clown sightings in 2014, yeah? I'm not sure what ice cream trucks we're talking about there, Wendy, if you want to elaborate that a bit more. You'll be upside down again, yeah. I wonder what percentage of Freemasons know that Lucifer is the head of the lodges. Probably the top percentages. I think once they get past like the 22nd degrees, I reckon those are the ones who start getting a little bit more clued in. The 33rd degrees certainly do. That's for sure. So it's actually probably just the top of the pyramid who know, not most. Most of them probably think it really is just a mystery wisdom school full of esoteric knowledge that gives them power, and also a cool networking boost in society for influence and power and money. I think that's what most of them probably think it actually is. But again, we talk about that with John Pounders. Funnily enough, we actually covered that. So yeah, go listen to that. I never liked clowns, says Sugar Pie, for as long as I can remember. Something inside me already knew they were bad. It's a gut feeling. It's a guttural reaction people have to the image of a clown. Yeah, it's uncanny, isn't it? I agree. You're popular. Wow, I remember when this channel was like a few hundred people, but I don't really comment much or join streams. But home and bored today, nice crowd, says Dystopian Deep Dives. So you've been here since 2014 when I first started the channle, have you? It's nice for you to speak up and say hello. Yeah, but thanks for being here. I appreciate the support. Were you going anywhere fun? I'm going to an undisclosed location to have, yes, fun. That's the aim. That's what a holiday is usually for, isn't it? I'm actually getting excited now. I genuinely, I'm starting to get excited for it because it's been a serious battle to make this holiday happen. One thing after another, making it seem like it's just not going to happen whatsoever. But we were fought through. We persevered. And we are now winning and back on top. And yes, the holiday is going to happen. So that's good. That's good. Cults call in episode. And Connor comes on, but it isn't me, says the Cult of Con. I think I've been replaced. No, you've not been replaced, Connor. No. It's just a coincidence. But yeah, Connor Quinn, I think that's his name, got in touch with me, and he had a great story of exiting a real Gnostic cult. And I thought, you know what, this has to be shared. Come on, share your testimony, and let's show other people out there that they're also in on it. No, I'm happy about the holiday, says the wife. She's not happy that her husband gets to finish work early and spend the evening with her. No, she's happy that she gets to go on holidays. Well, I'm heartbroken. What can I say? I'm late to the party, but I just saw the podcast with Tony from the Confessionals. Is that the one? Or you talk Tony from God Rules? Which one is it? Which Tony? Funny enough, I've been meaning to get a tattoo, which is the bat boomerang with the Joker inside. Started to reconsider. I would definitely reconsider that, Evan. I would not get a clown on you if you can help it. But no fear. All authority in Jesus Christ. But it's still, I can't in all good faith and conscience recommend you get a clown tattooed on you. I really cannot. I would definitely say that is probably an extremely bad idea. So there we go. That's my advice. Take it or leave it. Paul, your guest and Everything is Poison episode. Please bring it back. Lots of gross but excellence as Golden Fern. Well, I think Thomas doesn't really have anything else to say. He had some great insight on the culture of Switzerland and the festivals and the Basler Fastnacht and the carnivals that they do and the clown imagery that's everywhere, you know, and I think that was really fascinating, and he gave a lot of deep insight into that, which I thought was amazing. And he also was just a wealth of knowledge on water, and he works with water and has the lab equipment to examine things closely and has been. And he has these amazing findings, and everything he's found he's shared with you in that presentation. If Thomas has anything else he wants to share, he's welcome to come back onto the channel. But I think I saw in a comment somewhere that his wife was happy to have him back after he did his presentation because he had been obsessing and worrying about doing it all week. So I don't know if he can keep doing it. I don't know if he even wants to keep doing it, and he doesn't have to. Thomas has said and done enough, but if he wants to, he's always welcome to come back and say more. It's always a great conversation. Nebraska and family loves you, bro. Why does nobody talk about the Leviathan ocean monster from Antarctica, my good sir? Just asking. Why does no one talk about it? I mean, does nobody talk about that? It's an obscure thing to talk about, and you kind of only have to know about it to talk about it, right? I don't know enough about that specifically to start reeling off a lot about it. But I understand that obviously Leviathan was created by God and is a sea serpent of some kind. There is a book called the Book of Cain and Leviathan, I think it's called, or something like this. And yeah, it does talk about Leviathan being a small dragon-like serpent that gets defeated by Tubal-Cain with his amazing metallurgy weapon creation skills, and he creates a weapon that can pierce and get under the scales of the monster, which no other weapon can. Other than that, is Leviathan still in the oceans? I don't know. Probably, or probably not. It's hard to say. I don't know the depths of the oceans. But I don't know if is that something people should be talking about, and if they should be, can you elaborate why specifically that is what people should be talking about? I don't know. Also, I have you to myself for 2 weeks, says the wife. There you go. That she's redeemed herself. Freemasonry is a cult. It hands down is a cult. Yeah, absolutely. Connor says he was super nervous the first time he came on Paul's show. He had not been on any show yet. Well, look at you. You've bloomed like a psychedelically abrasive flower, haven't you? And you've blossomed into your true self now, and now you just can't shut up and get on. You can't get on camera enough anymore, can you, Connor? You're welcome. You're welcome. They got a backlash because they attacked a little season first. Are you talking about David Carrico and John Pounders? Well, they did, but they didn't attack Little Season. They attacked preterism. And John admits in that show, with that conversation we had, which I thought it was really great of him. You know, he understood the situation, and he's like, I don't think he this is his words. He said something along the lines of, I don't think we should have done that show before we knew more, because we did kind of just rip apart preterism. And he knows now it wasn't preterism. There's a big difference. And it's just one of those things, like they didn't know what they were saying till after they said it. Do you get what I mean? And everyone tried to attack them to correct them. And I think that's what it comes down to, really. And look, go watch the video if you want kind of like a summary of what I believe on the situation. But I'm not willing to separate myself from the body of Christ and brothers and sisters in Christ over an eschatology. I'm just not. I've never been willing to do something like that. Eschatology is fascinating, and it's something we should always be looking into and always thinking about, you know, the end times and the many scenarios and variations. For so long, there's been a monopoly on eschatology, and it's just been one way for so long that it must simply be futurist dispensationalism. Amillennialism was kind of in the background, kind of, you know, through the more orthodox belief systems, but primarily, you know, it's Christ is yet to come back, and we're still waiting on tribulation and possibly this whole rapture injection for so long. And we have come up with something completely different, and we're saying, nope, all that's past, and we're in this time at the end, you know. And we should expect that everybody's going to be confused and angry and get things wrong and misconstrued and so forth. And there certainly should not be falling out with other Christians who believe in Jesus Christ and profess with their mouth that he is king and he rose from the dead, you know, and that there is no other way but through him. Then they are my brothers and sisters in Christ. And I don't care what their eschatology is. It makes no difference to me. But I felt like in the community, there was a huge shift that started to happen. And very much from our side, the Little Season side, there was too many people attacking brothers and sisters in Christ over this. And when they got things wrong, or perhaps misrepresented what the community believed because they didn't know any different, they thought it was preterism, the reactions were not right. People's reactions to this were quite vehemently, debate me, bro. You know, just, you're a heretic. You don't believe what Jesus Christ said. You don't believe the words of Christ. What's wrong with you? You know, and some people, maybe not all, but there was a few bad actors and bad eggs in the group who were really horrible about it. And it's kind of, I am not interested in being represented by those people or associating with that kind of person at all. That's not who I am. I've never been like that, and I do not condone that behavior. And this is not worth falling out over. And also what I didn't like is that people basically made a cult out of it. On the theme of this, you know, some people really took the words that people like me, Jason, Jack, JT were saying, and all the other content creators that were big at the time, you know, talking about these things. And they took what we said and basically made a cult out of it, a new religion, a new denomination out of it. And the last thing, and this is a phrase I've said a few times now in many podcasts, the last thing Christianity needs is a new denomination. We don't need more of that, okay? And that's not what I intended, okay? I wasn't looking to start a church. I wasn't looking to start a brand new denomination of any kind. I wasn't looking to create more division or separation in the body of Christ. I just wanted to discuss eschatology and say, this is interesting. Look at this alternative way of viewing things that we never considered before. But some people, and I think I know why, some people who have come from churchianity, they've come out of these churches where the predominant worldview has been dispensationalist, rapture theology, futurism. And they've been believing for so long that Christ is about to return, or tribulation is about to happen, and the Antichrist is about to come, and the mark of the beast is around the corner, and they've been following that for so long, you know, and they've been in that for so long, that when they first heard the Little Season eschatology, the whole world got turned upside down, because they realized, oh, this makes sense, actually. Oh, dear, this is not what I expected. I've been believing A for so long, but it turns out I should have been believing in Z for so long. You know what I mean? I was way off where we should have been. And I think what they did, they basically switched one dogma for another. And they made an entire religious churchianity-style dogma out of the Little Season eschatology and just transferred that entire attitude over to the Little Season community, and have started establishing and planting and creating new churches that are just like those dispensationalist futurist doctrine churches, the 501c3 churches, but with a little season veneer instead, because that's all they know. That's how they think they should be behaving over these type of things. And again, I was looking at that. I was like, you're not my people. I don't see it that way. You're my brother and sister in Christ, sure, but the way you behave and the way you conduct yourself, not my style. That's it. That's simple. And these are many of the reasons why I stopped talking about it as the main topic on my channel. I never left or stopped believing it. The information's great. I think the information's solid. I think we've brought so much to the table. And I think many people in our community, great researchers, have proved that this is probably the case. We're probably in the last season of Satan. This is where we are, and it's not what we've been taught. And this is probably why we do have a conspiracy. The information's solid, but I think the community went south. And I could see the writing on the wall. And, I've talked about this with my wife. I've talked about this with the people. And it seems like something's happening right now. The community, I feel like it's been co-opted. I really do. And I'm not naming names or pointing fingers. It's a general vibe. It's like it's a gut feeling. Something's going on in the little season community. And I feel like people have taken the reins and the control and they're leading it in a certain direction. And it's getting culty. I'm not going to lie. It really is. I know. And Rise was calling us a cult, and calling me a leader of a cult and all sorts of things. So I don't say this lightly, but unfortunately, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, then that's exactly what these zealous religious types have done. They've turned it into a new Christian cult that's wholly centered on eschatology and this specific one view, and this, if you're not with us, you're against us type of attitude, in-group preference. They are little seasoners. They are members of the little season community first before being a follower of the way and a member of the body of Christ. And unfortunately, not everybody, but it only takes a few. It only takes, when you look at a weapon like a spear, the majority of it is a harmless handle, but the end is where the few crazy ones are, and that's the part that does the damage. You know what I mean? And that's what happens. And I could, and we're sensing and feeling there's something coming. I don't know what it is, but I feel like maybe they're going to use the little season community as a scapegoat for something that happens in the future, or frame the little season community or discredit it so much just through turning it into a circus of some kind. I think they're some people have co-opted it. Feds have got involved and they're trying to set the whole thing up to fall. And it might not necessarily be content creators doing this, but the people who are building the communities around them, and fostering and in the comment sections and fomenting this attitude of a cult-like behavior, unfortunately. And I just, that's not what I intended. That's never what I intended whatsoever. So I kind of, I've laid that out on the table, and people keep asking me, like, why doesn't he talk about it anymore? What is he? Is he some kind of shill? Is he some kind of like, this is the only thing you should be talking about? It's kind of like, I left. And for people who say that kind of stuff, I left because of people like you. Because I can't have that around me anymore. For my own sanity, my family's sanity, I can't be dealing with that nonsense. I'm sorry. It's creepy. It's weird. Get a grip. Like, that's all I can really say. Get a bloody grip. Come back to reality. Like, even if it is the little season right now, has your life changed? Really? It was bad before, right? When we were waiting for tribulation to come. Is it any worse in this time of misery and pain in a fallen world where we need Jesus and need to be saved? Has the Great Commission to go out and make disciples of the men changed? Are you any more or less a member of the body of Christ based on your newfound special knowledge about where we are on the timeline? It's like, don't let it get to your head. Like, please, get a grip. And look, I'm there. I believe it's true, but don't make a bloody cult out of it. Like, that's it. That's why I'm not talking about it. Because what more can I say? If I say any more and make any more of the videos, of the hundreds of videos and hours I've already made about it, am I not just pandering to the community then? Am I not just staying there because it's convenient for me and gets me the clicks and views or something? Like, what more? How much can I beat a dead horse and get the point across before the point's across? And at the same time, do I really want to continue to foster and build a community I don't agree with in many ways in terms of behavior and attitude and style. Like, not particularly, no. And there'll be the zealots out there who are telling me, or want to tell you now, that, you know, Paul's against the Little Season community, or the things Paul's saying here are not biblical. And what I'm telling you, what I'm teaching you, is purely based in the Bible. The nice appeal to authority there to justify your cult with the sacred texts, you know. And look, you can do that with the Bible. People have done that with the Bible plenty of times to justify their position of why their cult is the best cult. Okay, they do it all the time. Mormons do that too, don't they? Look, no. Snap out of it. Okay, snap out of it. Be careful when you're in the world of the internet and conspiracy. Okay, be careful who you follow, who you idolize, and who you listen to. Don't make an idol of me or anybody in any community, no matter how much the information seems wonderful and fantastic. Okay? Think for yourself. Take it to God. Focus on the Word. Build a relationship with Jesus and with your family and your loved ones, and live your life and make it a life worth living. Do not obsess over the works of the enemy, but celebrate the victory of Christ instead and live your life. Don't waste it. And that's where I'm seeing all this going with many of the Little Season communities. Their entire life and identity has become about the Little Season. They have nothing else outside of it because maybe they're desperate for some sense of belonging or community of some kind, in some way, shape, or form, that they've latched onto this thing and they've made it wholeheartedly about them, their identity in every way. And maybe they've changed their YouTube name to incorporate the Little Season into it in some way. And they feel like, oh, I belong to this community. I found my people. But eschatology is not a solid foundation for fellowship and relationship with God and a community. I'm sorry, it's not. It should just be about Christ first, and everything else is secondary to that. It should be about the truth, the way, and the life before how does it all end? And are we all agreed that this is where we are and this is how it ends? Can you understand that? It doesn't sound right, does it, when you actually say it out loud? And I think a lot of people are too in their head, and they have thoughts about their thoughts and opinions and beliefs based on their thoughts and ideas, and they've never really said it out loud to realize, oh, wait a minute, I think I might have joined a cult. They've never actually heard it out loud. And it's not that the information's wrong, it's the in-group preference, cultish mentality surrounding it that I have objections to. It's not what I want to do. I am not a Little Season channel. My channel's called Understanding Conspiracy. You know, we look at all the topics when it comes to conspiracy. We break them down individually, and then we see how they fit together to create the holistic image of what the conspiracy is. Okay? So my logo represents the conspiracy you need to understand. You need to break them down, and Little Season is one of these pieces. Sure. So Satanism, Luciferianism, secret societies, the monetary banking systems, the health corruptions, all of that kind of stuff, the brainwashing, the media, the predictive programming, the biblical history, pre-flood, post-flood, whatever, the Nephilim, they're all pieces. Okay? And these pieces put together create the history that we're living through, the truth. It all leads to Jesus, of course. But this symbol, you need to get to grips with it. You need to understand what it means. If you don't understand what this means, then you haven't understood the conspiracy. And if you've only just discovered this symbol and that it's everywhere, you have a lot of research to do. You have a lot of work to do. You need to understand this if you have any chance of understanding the weapons used against us. You need to get to grips with why this symbol is everywhere. So that's why I do what I do. Okay? And just to clarify, I have other channels, talking about art, my logo behind me. You want to understand art, understand creativity? Well, what better logo than a paintbrush and a pencil? If I was making a channel called Understanding Sausage Rolls, I'd have a sausage roll as my logo. But there are people out there who want to try and tell you otherwise, aren't there? Who want to try and cause division, isolate their members into their cult a little bit more. Don't listen to it. Honestly, snap out of it. Grow up. Like, this is not a game. My channel is not a Little Season channel. Okay, it's a conspiracy channel, And I do my best to reach people wherever they are at. And every topic reaches people in different ways. And the end goal is to get them to Jesus. So I'm going to talk about spiritual warfare. I'm going to talk about corruption in food and medicine. I'm going to talk about anything and everything conspiracy related because it reaches people. People are in different positions in different lives. The little season stuff only reaches a certain type of person who's already gone through a lot of research into biblical history to get to there to begin with. Right? It's a very small preaching to the choir type market. All right? Letting Christians realize where they are on the biblical timeline doesn't save them any more than they were already saved. I'm interested in making disciples of men. I want to go into the world and point them to Jesus. So you have to talk about spiritual warfare. Everyone's encountered demons. Not everyone knows what they are, where they come from, or what the weapons they have to defend themselves. We can reach them and give them that information. That's important to me. I don't want to be just focused on one topic. All my work on the little season's still there. You can go and find it. Go and read it. Go and watch it. Do what you need to do. If you want to learn about that, go and learn about it. But I feel like I've understood it now. And it's time to focus and carry on other things. Pay attention to the world around us. When people get scared of current events, we can be there as a voice to tell them what's really going on and then to point them to Christ, to the answer and the solution. Is that not what we should be doing? Realistically. So I don't want to niche myself like that. I don't want to. I don't. Anyway, I went on enough there. Let's go to the chat. Let's see what's happening here. Let's just carry on, okay? What's a sausage roll? I'm in the USA. Is that like a pork roll or Taylor ham? It's sausage meat in like a long cylinder shape without a skin around it, wrapped in pastry, puff pastry, and then baked in the oven. It's delicious. Okay, if you ever come to England, go to a place called Greg's, okay, and get yourself a sausage roll. Get 4 because you get 4 for the price of 3. And while you're at it, maybe get a pasty as well. Take your pick, whatever. But get the sausage roll and take a bite, and you will be in heaven. I'm sorry. I know people say don't eat pork and everything like this. Get the vegan sausage roll if you want. It tastes just as good. Okay, and I'm partial to a vegan sausage roll from Greg's every now and then. My wife is like, it's disgusting. I don't know why you do that, but I don't know what they do, but it tastes fantastic. That's a sausage roll. Okay, if you were wondering. I'm a bit of a Greg zealot, sausage rolls. Yeah, exactly. Old school Pete knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I mean. A guy's got to eat Greg's edition. Connor. If you're ever in England, go to Greg's. Make an episode. All right, there you go. I would see that. That sounds so good. Pasties are super good too. Pasties and sausage rolls, speaking to the converted. You see, this is what it's all about, guys. This is the real conspiracy, the real truth was the sausage rolls we ate along the way. That's what we're learning here. The vegan ones taste like stuffing, says my wife. That's usually what she says, yeah. They do a little bit, but they've still got that Greg's flavor that they use. The oils they use or the grills they use. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to know what it is. I just want to enjoy it. That's all I can say. I was in Scotland last year and I ate fish and chips every night. Says Lindsay. Yeah. That's a staple in Britain as well. We have a chippy night every now and then. It's an easy tea. It's chippy tea time, you know. If you don't know what you're gonna have and it's like chippy, yeah, I'll have a chippy. Go on then. I usually get, yeah. I do enjoy chippy. I'm not gonna lie. If you can energy heal, can you energy steal? Is this fact or fiction? I don't know what you just said there, PT, but I like it. Once you know you can't unsee, forget the logo, forget the cults, forget the attacks, get a sausage roll. That tends to be what I do. Petrol. Yeah, petrol is what we call gas. You Americans call it gas, don't you? Sausage roll solves all. Absolutely. I've watched Gordon Ramsay make sausage rolls and also forcing contestants to make them too. Classic Ramsay. Anyway, anyone got any questions? Anything at all anyone wants to say before we close this show out? Wendy, they're full of blank and hearing what they want instead of what's actually being said. Oh yeah, no, tell me about it. I just have to always remember that this isn't a salvation issue. Absolutely, exactly, when it's not a salvation issue, but people seem to be trying to make it that way, and I don't trust those people. I don't trust people who think like that. It's normal for us to want to share our discoveries and to feel a sense of urgency about what we have learned, says Connor. I empathize with it. I understand it. It's just a shame it went that way. I tried to make sure people listened to me and didn't make it go that way, but many did. And I think people saw the little season stuff and saw that there was a community building and sought to hijack it and put themselves in positions of leadership over it because they didn't like the current leadership. I really did see that and sense that. And it's kind of like before that, the mud flinging begins, I stepped down. I could see it coming. It happens every time, And it's kind of, all right, have it. I don't care. Go take the damn thing because it's going to bring you nothing but pain and misery anyway if you want to try and lead this movement because it's full of crazy people who want to accuse you of all sorts of things, And it's got fedded up to the nines. I do not doubt for 1 second that the Little Season community got co-opted. And I'm warning people that's still heavily into that. You be very careful where your attention's going right now. Be extremely careful. Because honestly, it's being led somewhere not clever. I can guarantee it. It happened with every other topic. Flat Earth, Mandela Effect, all those communities that were all just about sharing fascinating discoveries and information became clown shows very quickly. Okay, and got completely co-opted and taken over and directed in odd, strange ways, and then next thing you know, it's all getting merged in with the sacred name of movement and all that type of thing. And honestly, just watch. Just step back and watch and observe instead of getting swept up into it. You can only do what you want to do and what you feel good about doing. Yeah. Proof texting is what it's called. Mormons are Masons. What else have we got here? Sorry guys, I'm just trying to catch up on the chat. We need to understand our identity in Jesus Christ, not a doctrine. We need to understand who we are in the kingdom. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Just scrolling down here to the bottom. Let's see what's going on. Is there a kosher sausage roll? I have no idea. If there is, I don't want it. I hope you have a nice holiday. Can you say any interesting things on telepathy? No, I can't. I don't know enough about it. Only Americans that never watch the real Top Gear don't know that petrol. Yeah, watch the real Top Gear, guys. Watch the British version. You'll know. Where does this third temple slot in? To me, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's no third temple in the Bible. It doesn't exist. It's Jewish fables. It's Jewish wishful thinking. It doesn't really exist. Start a new channel, Understanding Sausage Rolls. I think I will for fun, and I'll do it in the style of this logo. They want the money, says the wife. Yeah. Look, I'm going to be so obviously candid with you guys right now. I was making bank when I was talking about little season content. The algorithm really heavily pushed it, and the money was good. Money was really good. Okay. And it gives you an incentive to keep making more videos about it. All right, it does. It gives you an incentive to keep making videos. And not only that, people were just sending me money because I think they considered me a church leader or a pastor. And obviously tithing is a thing in Christianity. So they were like, well, I've got to give money to whoever I get my teachings from on the Bible. So one guy sent me $2,000 and didn't even send a message or respond to my responses. And it's kind of, this is crazy. No wonder pastors get corrupt and do what they do in these churches. People are just chucking money at them. And it's kind of like, I don't deserve this. It got to the point where it's like, this is wrong. This is a gut feeling, a guttural feeling. Like, this is wrong. Like, this is what is, I don't think this is what Jesus wanted us to be doing. I really don't. And if anyone else in the Little Season community is trying to tell you they're not making money one way or the other through what they're doing, they are liars. They're lying to you. I'm telling you right now, they can't help but make money talking about that topic. People will just give it to them. And to the people giving it to them, stop it. Stop. Okay, that's not what it should have been about. That's not. And honestly, how do you know you can even trust those people? Like, they're creating a church because there's money in church. Okay? There's money in community. And the wolves saw that and they wanted it for themselves. And it got to a point, it's like, I don't care about the money. Take it. I'm out. I'm out. I can't do this. This is getting weird. This is getting clearly dangerous. And it's kind of, this is bad luck all round. And wherever this is going, I don't want to be there when that ship hits that iceberg, whatever that's going to be. Okay? This is a sinking, this is a destined to sink ship. I could tell you that much. The information's not. The truth is the truth. But that community, whatever's going on there, it's a gut feeling. I can see it. We can feel it. It's there. Something's wholly rotten at the core of it right now. And it wasn't like that when it started. It's been directed that way by bad actors. I guarantee it. I know it's the case. It's just in the core. I can feel it and sense it. And the money has corrupted all. Honestly, like, you can tell it gets to people. Like, you got to be so careful. You got to be so careful. It was a reality check moment, for me and my family. Like, we were gobsmacked at like what was happening. It's kind of no. People were trying to start. Like I said, I got approached to start a convention, and I was excited at first, naively happy about it. But the longer the process went on, the more I was starting to realize, like, this is a terrible idea. Like, this is a really bad idea. And it's kind of, there's money to be made in a convention. People put on conventions for money. They don't put it on because they want to help spread things or the truth. Conventions are for profit, okay? And like I said, everybody wanted to get in, but they can't do it without the main people talking about it. So when I backed out, the whole thing collapsed. But I backed out because I started to notice all these things I was telling you about. I'm like, hang on. If we let this go any further, this is going to get turned into something that's going to be used in the future to do something terrible. I can tell. Like, and we'll be the poster children, the fall guys, the patsies that are going to be used for that. This is how the devil works, right? So rather than let it get that far and let my entire life and identity be wrapped up in this thing, which is going somewhere we cannot predict, I'm going to stop right now and forget the money. I'm going to focus on what I should have been doing to begin with, understanding the conspiracy and trying to reach people in other ways through the spiritual warfare and just keep it about Christ specifically. And I hope that's what I've been doing. I've been trying my best. And that's, that's the truth. I'm telling you the truth here. I'm not lying to you. This is what it was. These little season videos get thousands of views, thousands and thousands and thousands of views. And there are now hundreds of channels talking about it when there was only 5 of us at the start. And I think other bigger channels are realizing this is not the be all end all thing to talk about now, and they're trying to shift other ways. But some aren't. Some have solely they've hunkered down, and this is it. This is who they are. This is what they're doing. And by de facto now, I guess they're the leaders, right? And maybe that's what they wanted all along. I don't know, but I don't trust it at all. I can feel it in the belly. I can feel it. It's a core feeling, and that's it. That's it. It's like whatever. I'm out. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. And I feel like I'm trying to get people trying to drag me back in many ways. I really do. And if they can't drag me in through temptation, oh, we miss you, Paul. Paul was the best. Why? You were the best ambassador for this. You talked about it better than anybody else. You were so eloquent. You were getting ahead. You need to come back and talk about it more. It's the only thing that's worth talking about. Why would you want to waste your time talking about anything else but this? And if it's not that, if it's not flattery, people are trying to bait me back in, then it's just outright attacks. Baiting me back in to defend myself. And maybe they succeeded with me doing this right now. I don't know. But it's kind of like, look, what do you want me to say? Like, what do you want from me? Like, realistically, like when it comes down to it, what do you want me to start talking about the little season again? Like, I really, or now that you're people have become the new leaders. What do they want to do? They want to try and smear my image so nobody will listen to any of my work on the past, and no one will like me anymore. So they get more views and clicks and trust or something, and the echo chamber little niche cult gets tighter or something. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know, but it's weird. That's all I can say is strange. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. But either way, whether it's through coercion, flattery, or attacks, people will just keep trying to pull me back into it. I got other things to do. Wherever we are on the timeline, spiritually, I'm prepared to go to the Great White Throne Judgment. That's all that counts. That's all that counts. That's all I care about. I need to get more people there. I need to help more people get to Christ. I need to be a signpost. I need to be a light in the darkness. I need to do everything I can and shout from as many platforms as I possibly can the truth of Jesus Christ and the free gift of salvation he's offering. That's all I can do. Okay? And I'm going to be whatever it takes to get to those people and talk about whatever it takes to get to those people on different levels. Okay? And the little season only reaches an already captive and saved market. It's not enough. It's not enough. That's my Great Commission. Okay, I am trying to make disciples. It's simple. That's it. That's all I can say. I have nothing else to say. Conventions are always infiltrated. Says ain't buying it. That's true. That's true. There are hundreds of reasons why. Oh, great. Who's arguing with my wife? That shouldn't be why you stopped talking about it. Oh, there's hundreds. Oh, did you even listen? I don't know. See, this is the bait I was talking about. The reaction bait. Just because a channel isn't monetized does not mean they don't earn money. That's true. That is true. So is it worth it? Weed out those bad actors, or just leave it and continue as you have been? I'm not looking to weed anybody out. I'm just telling you of my observations of what I think the movement's become. That's it. Like, it's not my fight. It's not my battle. People have taken shots at me and they're trying to make it my fight and my battle. But, you know, who are they? I don't care. That's just their opinion, man. Like, I can't change people's opinions. I'm not going to lose sleep trying to change people's opinions of me or what I do or any of that. So let them carry on. Let them do what they want to do. I'm just keeping it to myself. Like, but other people seem to want to rile me up and get me to react. That seems to be what's going on, and it's sad. It's such a sad state of affairs. And I don't care really. I'm going on holiday. Enjoy the interviews I've done, guys, but I'm taking a break. Don't sell your soul and don't let the money get to you, says Shelley. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Sorry, guys, I missed loads of chat here. Stand for nothing, fall for anything. I spent many hours. I'm very surprised to hear that. I'm sus of everyone except a small handful of people. As we should all be, to be honest. Yeah, as we should all be. Bring it back up when the aliens come. That's nice. Go make your own channel. Absolutely. I've always supported you, Paul. I'm a bother, then just let me know now. I don't know if you've supported me always or not, Joe Rowe. I think this is the first time I've ever seen you make a comment ever. Thanks for the support. But at the same time, you know, this is a sensitive subject for me and my family. And if you're coming in here telling me that I should be doing something Maybe my wife is going to say, no, he shouldn't. Like, that's probably going to happen. Just think about that. But yeah, if you want little season content, go and make it. Go and make that. I've got hundreds of hours on my channel already dedicated to it. Like, I don't have anything else to say. I was already repeating myself towards the end. And that's it, really. That's it. And those videos are still reaching people with that information. But I'm what's happening now is it's all about the community. It's all about the cult of eschatology, of little season, rather than new developments or information itself. And there's maybe some channels out there still doing the research and who are still good people doing that stuff. But what's the fruit of it, the product of it, is another denomination, another church. And I don't want that. I don't care about that. I don't want another I'm a non-denominational Christian, and I'm going to remain that way. I don't want to be a member of a dogmatic church with in-group preference. I want to be a member of the body of Christ, full stop. That's it. And that's it. And that's how I view it. Don't let others' actions, words stop you from speaking. See, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. I chose to stop talking about it because I have a head on my shoulders and can see where it's going. I wasn't forced to stop. Like, it's not good. Like, and again, this channel is not a little season channel. It was too focused on that for too long, and it shouldn't have been. That's not what I am. That's not what I talked about it. I understood it. It's time to talk about other things. That's always been the philosophy of this channel. And it's not called Understanding Little Season. It's called Understanding Conspiracy. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's it. I even unsubscribed from you and JC for a couple of weeks, but then darn Holy Spirit just pulled me right back in. Yeah. King James was the Mason. I don't know about that. Start from the beginning. Tell how it all went. Double down. Thanks for sharing more. Helps me understand where you're coming from. Yeah, because look, you guys are in the dark. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes with any big content creators, or when these things happen. And we try not to bring it up because it's not good. But this is the Truth or Therapy session. I'm venting. I've got things to say before I disappear for a little bit, and it's probably going to cause more pain and misery and backlash and attacks into my life, which I'm not thankful for or happy about at all. But these people are predictable, and that's probably what's going to happen. Okay, and I don't deserve any of it. I know I don't. So it's an ask for them to stop and think about the consequences of what you're doing and saying. Okay, I understand from their perspective, many people think like, well, the church should correct their brothers and sisters. It's like, I'm not a member of your church. I'm a member of the body of Christ. I'm not a member of your church, and it's not your business to correct me. Okay, it's not your business to do any of that to me. You don't know me. I'm just a YouTuber. Okay, you watched my videos, yes, but I'm not a member of your community, as you've shown it and depicted it and presented. Okay, I have people around me who are close to me, who I consider very close brothers, my ecclesia, who do correct me, who do tell me when I'm doing things wrong. I already have all of that. Okay, but you consider yourself the righteous judge, speaking through the Holy Spirit on behalf of God. And most people who behave and act like that on public platforms, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. It's very performative as far as I'm concerned. It's just, yeah. As you can see, these things get to me. I'm human. I'm a human being. But when you start falsely accusing me of things like being a Satanist passive-aggressively, then I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. You don't have the right to just go around defaming people like that and saying nonsense like that. Based on what? Shapes? Is that all you've got to make such a heinous accusation? And do you understand what that can cause? You do realize there are people in movements like this who will genuinely believe what you say and perhaps take it upon themselves to remove the Satanist in the room. And then what if I get murdered? What if I get killed? That can happen, That's the world we live in. No, your words matter. Your words have consequences. Think before you speak. Yeah. Let me call my lawyers. Exactly. Shaw drew up a second statute in 1599 wherein the first veiled reference to the existence of esoteric knowledge within the craft of stonemasonry can be found. I don't know why you're telling me that, Janice, but okay. Right. Much respect to boundaries, integrity, and faith, understanding conspiracy. So thanks, Dan. I'm glad you get it. Somebody understands. I know I'm not the one who these words apply to or hold that point of view, but I still feel scared I did something wrong, says Shelley Grace. Yeah, Shelley Grace, I don't think you've done anything wrong. No, it's not. It's just... This happens a lot to me. Okay, it's happened a lot, especially in the Little Caesar community from the very start. I open up my channel to people. I build relationships with people. We talk, we have a good time. It seems great. And then later down the line, those people stab me in the back and turn on me and accuse me of all sorts of things after I was accommodating, open, sharing, and promoting their stuff. It happens a lot. And I never do anything to deserve it. Okay, but they find in their own ways some reason to do it. And it always happens. It's happened too many times to count now. And this most recent event is just another example of that happening, where I've been dragged through the mud and disparaged over nothing, something trivial, and accused of all sorts of things left, right, and centre with no basis for those accusations whatsoever, which are just not even true or grounded in reality whatsoever. And that's what it always happens. So I'm not surprised. I've been around the block a few times now. I get it now. This is what happens. This is just my lot in life. This is how it goes for Paul every single time. And I've naively let people into my life, trustingly, for them to turn around and just prove that people cannot be trusted every single time. Every single time. It happens a lot. So I'm exacerbated. Okay, I am very exacerbated over this situation. And that's it. So don't take it personally if you're listening in the chat and you think, I'm not talking to you, you know, it's just, this is just what happens to me. My wife can attest to it. She's seen it firsthand. If you're going to appear in court as special appearance and speak with the judge yourself, okay. We're talking about King James and Freemasonry and maritime law. I have no desire to be a content creator. I would be in trouble. It's a lot of trouble, I'm telling you right now. You're entering the jurisdiction when it comes to the courts. It happens when you create content, even if it's like a handful of people that watch. It is. It's just a YouTube thing. Like I said, this is not the first time I've been through this. Over a decade of doing this, there's nothing new. Which is why I can see the cycles. Which is why I can see where this is going. Which is why I can see how movements get co-opted and changed over time. And I saw that this happened to the Little Season. It's like it is happening. It's in the middle of it now. Where the Little Season community is going to be in about 5 years' time is not going to be what it was when it started. It's going to be something else, and it's going to be an isolated echo chamber pocket of the internet somewhere run by feds. I can tell you that right now, because that's what you need to do with the truth. You control it. You can't stop it from getting out, but you can certainly control who's talking about it, and that's what happens. Well, I suppose I'm going to go. I never meant to imply that you should do anything. You know what I mean? To imply you're being influenced. Huge misunderstanding. God bless, Joro. Joro, don't worry about it. I'm not holding any grudges. I get myself into trouble a lot, so I know how it is, says Connie. Yeah, exactly. Paul, I've gave up on all podcasts except yours. I appreciate you and your efforts. Your authenticity is what keeps me coming back. Thanks, says Brian. Oh, Brian, I appreciate that. I do. Thank you for sticking around. God bless you and your family. Hallelujah. For a wife who is supportive and protective of your content and your family, says Amber. Oh, yeah. You do not want to get on my wife's bad side. You do not. She is not as forgiving as I am. I'll tell you that right now. I can learn a thing or two from her. Honestly, she can. She knows if you're full of shit or not just by having one conversation with you. She knows if you're full of it or not. And she has warned me about people. And I've gone, nah, they're right. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And later down the line, lo and behold, she was 100% correct. Every single time. She has a radar like no other. Like, she can sense a threat a mile away. And I'm a bit more naive. That's just my trusting, smiley, happy nature. So I'm happy she's on my side because I need her to make it clear to me what is and isn't safe and who isn't full of it. Because, like I said, she's never been wrong once. And whenever we as a family get attacked or wronged, be it through like bills or legal systems or companies trying to scam us or anything like that, she wins and then she gets compensation every single time. Like, there's no messing around. And I'm in awe at her abilities to do that. I just do not have it in me. But yeah, so I'm happy she's on my side. Absolutely. And let that be a warning to anybody out there who wants to attack me as well. I'll tell you that right now. Question, are you going to start your turpentine again? It's funny you say that, Susan. I got it right here. It's still in the office from when I did that show. I have no idea if I'm going to do it. I'm going to give myself some time where I know I'm kind of in the clear and have nothing big coming up to deal with the cleansing process of the purging of the parasites out of the body, which is a stressful process. And it is a proper systematic cleanse. You have to do it every other day and then taper yourself off it in certain doses for the right amount of time, and you have to do the follow-up doses around the full moon. You've got to do it right, because if you do it wrong, you can make it 10 times worse, because you don't get rid of the eggs and then they hatch and come back with a vengeance, and then they escape to other places of the body and burrow in, and that can cause serious damage. So you have to keep it up, you have to be consistent, you have to do it right. So if I'm going to do that, I need to plan it, date it, mark out on the calendars, dosages and everything, and follow it stringently. It's a proper protocol. So I won't recommend anybody just does it off the cuff, and I'm not going to do that. So I need to plan that out. Oh no, Little Caesar is definitely being controlled up by feds and church organizations. It's getting worse all the time, for real. Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? Fed's going to be feddy. Yeah. These comments, lol. Oh yeah, this is a spicy episode, that's for sure. The wife's got that highly attuned gut. Yeah, exactly. To be honest, I think women are oracles. They've got the sight, have they? That's why women usually work in a job like teacher, nurse, doctor, HR. They prefer contact with humans than man, and we usually focus on tech or science. Well, yeah, yes, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, I mean, I work with people primarily, so I don't know. My wife is great at maths, prefers to stay away from people. She's more of we're a bit of opposites that way. I'm more of the outgoing one, and she's more of the social recluse. But I'm also like, social interaction for my wife will drain my wife. She can do it, but it's exhausting, you know. Social interaction for me is a bit of a mixed bag. Either if I enjoy it, it fuels me. If I have to do it, I also get drained. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the middle. I'm not like and sometimes, but I think is I can make it seem like I'm really into it and have a good time and do all that type of thing. But inside I'm screaming. I just want to go home and get into bed. So I'm a bit of a, what do you call it? It's not optimist and pessimist. What's the one where it's outgoing and not outgoing again? I'm blanking on the phraseology here, but extroversion and introversion. I'm not an extrovert, but I give the illusion that I am. inside I'm an introvert, but externally I'm an extrovert. Do you know what I mean? But inside I'm like, I don't want to be here doing this. Outside I'm like, hey, I'm having a great time and I'm the life of the party type of thing, you know. And I don't know, it's weird. But she's definitely more of an introvert. So we've got a bit of a masculine feminine role reversal there in some way. But at the same time, I don't think there's such stringent lines like that. I don't think it's as black and white as a lot of people like to make out. I really don't, to be honest. Paul's third book, How to Be an Affable Husband. Yeah, no, I'm just telling you the truth. That's genuinely how it works in our relationship. Like she just has better discernment when it comes to whether people are full of shit or not than I do. I am naturally trusting. I'm just a very trusting individual. I assume the best in people until they prove me otherwise. She assumes the worst in people until they prove otherwise. And I think her way is actually the better way in this world, unfortunately. Like, if you want to survive, because people will railroad over you as much as they possibly can. That's what I've learned. It's sad. I wish it wasn't that way. Maybe it's the end of October effect. I think so. I think October's seriously messed with people. Like, I think this season of sacrifice and darkness and misery, like, I feel like is in the air and it's messing with people's heads. And the full moon that it began with as well, I think that got to people and got all the parasites riled up, which is why it's just been one mudslinging disaster after another. And why this month for me and my wife has just been absolute perpetual misery and hell, with one thing going wrong after another and one stressful, horrible, hair turning grey and falling out stressful event after another. It's just one thing after another this month, and which is why I just want to go on holiday now. I'm done. I'm absolutely done. So this is my therapy tonight, guys. Absolutely. The spirit of wisdom is a lady. Have fun on your holiday. Thanks, I will. Must be something wrong with me. I don't really trust many women, especially for wisdom. I think men are way more black and white and more rational than us. It's a bit of this and a bit of that, I would say. It's nice to see a husband give his wife her flowers. I think you're more extrovert than introvert. I am, but like I said, until I'm not. I have a limit to my extroversion, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I suppose the thing about YouTube channel is like, there's no one actually hearing. I'm talking to a piece of metal. That's what I'm actually doing. I'm looking at a screen at myself. You know, I'm not actually talking to anybody tangibly. So I suppose an introvert can do this quite easily, can't they? Pro October is awful, you're telling me. Hey, I give everyone a chance. My gut tells me in a second that's not my fault, says the wife. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Super moon equals super demons. I like that, Wendy. That is the truth. Glad to hear your thoughts, Paul. When you return from holiday, we should get together for a talk. It's been a while, says Connor. Yeah, we will. We'll get something on the books. My calendar is fully booked up now until December. Every Wednesday and Sunday, I've got a guest or I'm on a channel or something's going on. So we'll get something on the books. It's got to be a Wednesday or a Sunday, though, man. And I know that's tough for you, but you figure it out. We'll get it done, okay? Right, guys. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I put my foot in my mouth long enough. I probably caused serious problems for myself for long enough tonight. So I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to go to bed. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. I have just sold the final copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns for signed copies. Someone did just email me then and send the payment through. So that's done. But if you do want to support me, buy a book on Amazon, get yourself an Audible book, get a Kindle version, a paperback, hardcover, whatever you want to do. It's there. That's a good way to support me. Or consider joining the Patreon as well. There's lots of early access content on there, things that come out weeks before they come out into the public as well. And again, it's a good solid way to support me. And as always, PayPal as well, if you're interested in supporting me that way. Other than that, that's all I can really shill for myself right now. Thanks for listening. And as always, God bless.